All right, hello everyone. Thank you so much for joining us for our Spotlight series today. I'm highlighting our Industrial and Systems Engineering master's programs. My name is Erin Tanaka, and I represent the Viterbi Admission and Student Engagement Office. And then I also have with me here today David Ho, who is the Director of the Industrial and Systems Engineering Department and Student Services. And so I am happy to have him on here to share his expertise and we're gonna just jump right into the session. And then for those of you that are joining us by recording, just so this session is as of April 13th, 2023. So if you're watching this recording later on, just keep that in mind. You'll always want to make sure that you refer to our website and the links provided for the most up-to-date information. So definitely make sure to do that. All right, so just a couple quick notes before we get started. So you will receive, if you are live on this during this presentation, welcome. You will receive a follow-up email from my team within a couple of business days, and that will include a copy of today's presentation within that email. So no need to jot down the links unless you need them right away. And then throughout the session, if you have think of any questions, feel free to use the Q&A panel to the right of the session. And we will actually be holding off on those questions during the Q&A portion of the session, but rest assured you will have your questions answered during the session. So for today's program, I will start out by give a brief overview of the University of Southern California's Viterbi School of Engineering. I'll talk about then we'll talk about our master's programs in Industrial and Systems Engineering and get insight from David. We'll go over some frequently asked questions that we get from students, and then I will discuss the delivery methods and enrollment options that we have available. And then at the end of the session, as I mentioned before, you'll have an opportunity to ask any questions that you have that weren't answered during the session. So a little bit about the University of Southern California, for those of you that haven't joined us for a session in the past. So we are the oldest private university in the Western United States. We actually were founded way back in 1880. Currently, our student population is almost at 50,000 there. You can see our graduate student numbers actually outnumbers our undergraduate student population, which many find surprising there. We have over 4,700 full-time faculty members. That doesn't include many of the adjunct faculty that come from a variety of different industries and really bring the expertise to the field, from the field to the classroom. We're a very diverse student population, so we have students from all over the nation, all over the world, all different types of walks of life. So you would be in very great company with people from all different types of backgrounds. And we are located in Los Angeles. So for those of you that might not be in the California or even Southern California area, we're about a 10 to 15-minute drive from the downtown Los Angeles area, and about a 45-minute drive, always depends on traffic, of course, in LA from the Silicon Beach area. So we're really surrounded by lots of opportunities, whether it is jobs, internships, entertainment, the arts, you name it. We are really in the middle of all the action here in Los Angeles. So now in terms of the Viterbi School of Engineering, so we are one of the largest and oldest academic schools within the larger University of Southern California environment. We are comprised of 8 academic departments, one of them being our Department of Industrial and Systems Engineering and Industrial and Systems Engineering, which David will talk a little bit more about in a few slides. In terms of our faculty members, we have 189 tenure track faculty. We have 35 National Academy of Engineering members, which is one of the greatest honors you can receive as an engineer. And we have over 90 National Science Foundation Career, National, and Presidential Young Investigator awardees. In terms of our student population for the Viterbi School alone, as you can see there, our graduate student population is essentially doubled that, more than doubled that of our undergraduate student population. And so that number includes our master's degree students, both online and on campus, then our PhD students, as well as our graduate certificate students. And then we are a leader in funded research, so we have lots of exciting research going on at any given point. some of which, of course, would be through the Industrial Systems Engineering Department. But we have over 35 research centers and conducting, research in all different areas. So if you're interested in finding out more about research areas, we encourage you to visit our Viterbi School website, for more insight into those different research areas. But now I have the pleasure to introduce you all to David Ho. He's our Director of Student Services for the Daniel J. Epstein Department of Industrial and Systems Engineering. He's worked at USC for over 8 years, so he has great residential knowledge, not only of Viterbi School and Industrial Systems Engineering, but the larger USC campus. And he also earned his Master's Science degree in counseling. So he's got fantastic expertise in working with students and helping them out throughout their careers as students. So with that being said, I'll hand it over to David and to give a department overview. David, take it away.
Thank you, Erin. Thanks for the introduction and welcome everyone. So I'm just going to give you lay of the land for the ISE department. So just a brief department overview. We were the first named department in the Viterbi School of Engineering, and that's through a generous contribution through our endowment faculty. His name is Daniel J. Epstein. We are the second named ISE department in the nation. As far as faculty members go, we have 19 tenured or tenured track faculty members with primary appointments. We have 8 teaching faculty members, 3 research faculty members. We have joint appointments, which means they are housed, our faculty, between ISE and a different department, usually primarily in Viterbi. And then we have 7 courtesy faculty appointments. So enrollment in research centers, our current enrollment numbers for our department, we have approximately 200 undergraduate students. We have approximately 850 master's students, and that's spread apart among 6 primary programs and then dual degree programs. And then we have approximately 50 PhD students. Our research centers consist of METRANS, CREATE National Center for Risk and Economic Analysis of Terrorism, USC Meta Center for Research and Education in AI and Learning, Information Sciences Institute in Marina del Rey, Center for Advanced Manufacturing, and Center for AI and Society.
Right. So one of the questions
we get.
Yeah, go ahead. Actually, I'll ask the question. You can answer, no worries. So what master's degrees and grad certificate programs are available within the Industrial Systems Engineering Department?
Yeah, so as stated before, we have 6 primary master's programs in our department, and then you see the dual degree programs before, actually at the bottom. One of the things I want to pay close attention to is the computer icon. Basically, that means available online via Distance Education Network, then at Viterbi. So you're allowed to take this program online. Currently, the 2 programs that don't allow this, and I think we will in the future, are the analytics program and then the dual degree program at the bottom. But primarily the analytics program, we realize it consists of over half of our population at the master's level. So we are working towards moving that to DEN. But for right now, all of our other programs are offered through DEN and on campus, but analytics is currently just on campus. And so the first program we're going to talk about is the analytics program. And so it is currently a minimum 30-unit degree program. There are 4 required courses that you see on the left. And then essentially you have 3 courses to select from, Group A and Group B. So that's going to consist of 9 units. 9 plus 12 equals 21 units. And then the remaining 9 units come from the elective category, if you look in the lower left-hand bottom. And we work with you on that. So we typically, typically students will come to us and say, hey, like I work in this industry, or I want to learn more about this aspect of analytics. And again, we typically will work with them. We're fairly liberal on electives that they can select from. All right, engineering management. So it's a minimum 30-unit degree, and what you see is the required coursework of those first 4 courses. You are currently required to take an analytics and a technology elective. And then the remaining courses on the next slide are basically, you can actually choose between a different track and you can select courses from each track. Most students select the custom track on the right-hand side of the presentation. And essentially it's kind of like a mishmash of courses from different tracks, and that's perfectly fine. Most students typically take Marshall School of Business courses, and again, that's perfectly acceptable. So again, they get that ISE coursework with the Marshall School of Business coursework. But again, you're more than welcome to take ISE coursework as well. And these are the dual degree programs that are offered with the engineering management degree. Most of these programs are 48 units. So the aerospace engineering plus the engineering management, mechanical engineering plus engineering management, electrical engineering plus engineering management, and then the petroleum plus engineering management. As far as the requirements for the other degrees, most of what it consists of is 18 units in engineering management, and then a certain amount of electives within the engineering management. And again, we're going to be fairly liberal with you on that. So if you're an aerospace engineering management student and you wanted to take more aerospace classes in those elective units, that's perfectly fine. If you want to take Marshall School of Business courses, again, that's fine as well. But there are certain courses that you have to take in the engineering management program that you can't get around. Those are required courses. And then again, we'll work with you on which electives to select from. Our next program is the Health Systems Management Engineering program. This is a 31 unit minimum program. The required coursework are those 5 courses that you see there. Again, they're kind of a mishmash between our department. PM is preventive medicine. PPD is public policy. And so again, you kind of take courses within different departments. We have an agreement with all these departments that our students take these courses. And then the remaining electives, again, you choose from topics that you're interested in. So again, whether they're preventive medicine, ISC, or PPD. Industrial and systems engineering, a minimum of 30 units. The required coursework for courses that you see there, 513, 514, 515, and 583. And then on the right-hand side, you'll see that you'll have to take 1 course from each of those groups. So you just select one of the elective options there. So that's going to total 9 units plus the 12 units of required coursework. And then if you jump back to the left-hand corner where it says electives, that's the 9 units that you need to complete the degree. And again, we're going to be liberal here. You take courses that you're interested in with advisor approval. Okay, MS in Operations Research Engineering is a minimum of 30 units. So the required courses you see on the left-hand side, ISC 532 is actually now ISC 632. And then you basically take 4 courses because one of those courses is not offered anymore, the 582 course. And then you actually essentially get to select from remaining electives approved by the department. Product development engineering. So this is going to look really confusing, but basically it's a minimum of 27 units. You have to take the 2 core courses, ISC 501, ISC 545. Then this program breaks off into 2 different tracks. So depending on if you want the product development technology track or the product development systems track, you kind of go from there. So if you take the product development technology track, you take the 2 AME courses and then primarily AME electives to finish out the program. But if you take the product development systems track on the right-hand side of the page, you take the ISC 515 and 544, and then you basically choose from ISC electives for the remaining coursework, and that includes the electives. And the program director for this program is very, very fair when it comes to which courses. We have courses that students take from Marshall School of Business. We've even had cinema courses approved. So again, we really do kind of curtail it to what you're interested in. All right, so the Industrial and Systems Engineering MBA dual degree program is actually the biggest program, 66 units, a minimum of 18 units from ISC, and then the remaining courses come from the Marshall School of Business. So the two required courses you see there, 514 and 515, and then essentially you just choose from a remaining group of electives from systems design, information systems, quantitative methods, and then, you know, just an additional course. But essentially students that get admitted to dual degree programs have to be admitted to both departments individually. And then once they're admitted individually, their postcode or major is open. And then once we combine their dual degree, we eliminate the individual postcodes. We give them the joint dual degree postcode, and then you're free. It actually benefits you because obviously you get 2 degrees from both departments, and you don't have to fulfill all the requirements for the individual degrees. Where are your alumni?
That's okay. You could go ahead and just answer those. Yeah. So like where are alumni working and what job opportunities are available where students are graduates?
Okay. So on the next slide, you'll see where our students work. And they should all look fairly familiar to you. I don't really have to name all of them, but essentially these are where the majority of our students work. One thing I do want to mention, so all the programs that we ran through, this is the current iteration of our program. We are under potentially a new curriculum that may be introduced for the new fall 2023 term, which none of them have been confirmed yet by USC hierarchy. But again, this was the current iteration of all the programs. So again, we'll let you know if and when they do get approved.
Sounds good. Yes. And, you know, just to reiterate too, you know, any of the content that we shared today, you know, you always want to make sure that you just, reference the Viterbi graduate admission website for prospective students, just because that's always going to have what's live in terms of the curriculum. And so, yes, so for those of you online live right now, you know, it exists as of today, but if you're watching this recording any time later, you'll definitely want to always make sure that you're referencing those links. So thanks so much, David. Okay. So I'll go ahead and now answer some of these questions too. So first is, you know, can I pursue a master's degree or graduate certificate completely online on a part-time basis? So the answer is yes. So as David mentioned, essentially the large majority of the master's and dual degree programs are available online via Dana Viterbi. So these are the ones that are absolutely doable and can be completed 100% online if you'd wish. But I'm going to go over, you know, just how our Dana Viterbi delivery method works. But first and foremost, just kind of wanted to distinguish. So we have two, you know, main methods of course delivery. So of course we have, you know, on-campus students that want to be in person. Typically they go full time, but you know, we have those that are on campus that may not be completely full time necessarily. So usually they're taking anywhere from 2 to 3 classes, sometimes even 4, depending on their course load. And usually take around 1.5 to 2 years to complete their degree. In terms of online Dana Viterbi students, because the large majority of our online students are working full time, they tend to take 1 or 2 courses per semester, but it's flexible, you know, based off of, you know, whether they're working professionals or not. You don't have to be a working professional to be an online student. So there are some students that may be just in a location that's outside of Los Angeles and wanting to pursue their program full time online. That's possible too. But in generally speaking, you know, on average, our we call them DEN students. Our DEN online students graduate in about 2.5 to 3 years. But again, there's flexibility there as long as you're graduating within 5 years, and you can even petition for additional 2 years if needed. So in terms of how Den Viterbi works, so we know that there's lots of different online delivery methods out there. And so we do want to distinguish that, Den Viterbi is really unique. It's its own proprietary web-based delivery system that is unique to the USC Viterbi School of Engineering. So even other academic schools within USC have different online systems. But essentially the way that it works is our Den Viterbi online students are in the same exact classes and same exact program as the on-campus students. So essentially you could have three options for how you watch the lectures. You can watch the lectures live as they're happening on USC's campus. Nice thing about that is you can call in during the live session, you can chat your questions if you have any questions and get those answered on the spot during the live lecture. But we also recognize that, things come up, you might have work conflicting obligations or personal obligations. And so each of the the live lectures are recorded. It then goes into the course recordings archive that is available after the live session takes place until the end of the semester, when they're then taken down after the semester's over. But it's a great setting tool as well. So, if you need to watch the lectures on your own time and have that as a setting tool, it's a great option as a Den Viterbi student. And then finally, although it is not required to step foot on USC's campus, you are welcome to come to campus. You would have a seat in the classroom as a Den student. You have the ability to enjoy all the resources on campus that on-campus students have as well. You'd also have access to a number of Den Viterbi specific resources, including the Den control team, network support team that is really there to support our students, whether they have technical issues, making sure that the camera angles look great and you can hear the lectures, that students can hear you when you call in. And so we have lots of support for our DEN students in addition. But like I said, you don't have to come to campus at all. If you don't want to step foot on campus, you don't have to. But in terms of the way that it works for DEN students, so I'm going to talk a little bit about these things on the next slide, but just some things to just reiterate is that, again, our online students are in the same classes as the on-campus students, so they're having the same lectures, they have the same faculty members, same homework and exams as well. In terms of exams, the way that it works is that if an exam is required to be proctored in person or on site, you would need to take your exams if you're in the Los Angeles, Orange, or Ventura counties within California, you would take your exams on USC's campus. If you're outside of those areas, you can take your exams at a designated location that works best for where you're either working or at home. Those often can be a local library, community college, local university, or corporate site. If there's somebody that works for your company that is willing to proctor examinations, that's also possible as well. We have a dedicated Den Viterbi exams coordinator that can help assist with scheduling, and even if you have required work travel, for example, and let her know at least a couple weeks in advance, she can assist with helping to find or providing resources for other locations so that you're taking your exams as close to the time it takes place on USC's campus as possible. So this gives you a side-by-side comparison. You might be, undecided as to whether you're planning to be a DEN online student versus on-campus student. So program admission and required application and required materials are exactly the same. So you're applying for a degree program, not a delivery method, though you would indicate whether or not you're interested in pursuing your program online or not. The weekly course lectures, exams, homework assignments, all the same, just depends on, where you would take your exams in terms of the assignments. At this point, large majority of students, both online and campus, submit their homework assignments electronically via the course management system and according to the same course deadlines. The exams, again, so it just depends on where you're located. Courses per semester, we talked about degree completion requirements, 27 to 37 units with a 3.0 GPA or above. And there's absolutely no distinction on your diploma, whether you're an online versus an on-campus student. You're earning the same exact degree, same exact diploma, so you don't have to worry about that distinction. So just some additional things for our Dena Viterbi students. So we also, in addition to being able to apply for formal admission to, of course, any of our master's or grad certificate programs, we also offer what's called limited status enrollment. Essentially, this is a way to potentially get a jump start on taking courses or a course as early as this coming summer term, which starts as early as May. And but in order to be eligible, you do have to have an undergrad degree in engineering, math, hard science, or a related field to the degree program you're planning to later on pursue, potentially. And it must be from a regionally accredited institution, and you have to have a 3.0 cumulative GPA or above on a 4.0 scale. And it's limited status in the sense that there's a maximum of 12 units you can take. But if you later on decide that you would like to pursue a full graduate certificate or master's degree program, you do still have to formally apply for admission separately. And just note that, limited status doesn't guarantee that you'll be formally admitted. However, if you are formally admitted and took courses that are required for a particular degree program that you're formally admitted into, then those courses that you took as a limited status student can be applied to your master's or grad certificate student with departmental approval, as long as, again, they are required courses for the program or relevant courses. And to get started, it's a pretty quick process. You just complete what's called the Dena Viterbi profile, and you would receive a response from our student affairs team within typically 3 to 5 business days as to whether or not you are approved to enroll. And if you are approved, then you can again start as early as the summer, which, just as a note, is a much shorter term compared to the fall and spring. So fall and spring is generally 15 to 16 weeks, whereas the summer term can be as short as 6 weeks or 12 weeks. So it just depends. But sometimes people like the fast pacedness of the summer. But just keep that in mind, because you'll definitely want to stay up to speed with your courses if you take summer courses. And in addition, so we do have what's called, for those of you that are working professionals, we do have a Dena Viterbi scholarship, which I can share separately, but we also offer what's called employer reimbursement deferment program. Essentially, it's a way to defer your upfront payment of your tuition up to 90% until after the semester is over. So rather than having to pay out of pocket in advance of the term, you can defer that. But you do have to be, your employer does need to reimburse you for tuition at the end of each term, and your student account needs to be current, and then you can see the program participation requirements, as well as the link to more information if that pertains to you. So another question is, I decided to apply for formal admission. Any tips on getting started? So just first and foremost, you'll definitely want to make sure that you confirm the application deadlines and, what is posted on the website. There is an asterisk there for those of you that may be interested in pursuing a program as online Dena Viterbi students. So for example, for fall 2023, we have officially extended the application deadline to May 31st, but this is only for those who are planning to pursue their program in its entirety as Dena Viterbi applicants, and it is for those that do not require any student visa sponsorship. If you require an F1 student visa or an I-20, you definitely need to make sure that you apply as an on-campus student, and this extended deadline, unfortunately, wouldn't pertain to you, just because we need to be able to process any visa sponsorship requests as early as possible. But if that is too soon for you, so fall 2023 starts in August of this year. But if that's too soon for you, spring 2024 is the next application deadline. That's going to be in January. That will start January of next year. And the deadline to submit all required materials is September 15th. If you would like to be considered for scholarship consideration, then you do need to absolutely need to apply by that date as an on-campus student. For Dena Viterbi student our interested students, it's a little bit different. We do have more flexibility because we also have a scholarship consideration, which whereas a separate application. But essentially, if you are planning to pursue your program as an online Dan Viterbi student and get close to a deadline, just always feel free to reach out to denaviterbi.usc.edu, which goes to myself and my colleague Marilyn Lau. And we are happy to work with you if you need additional time on a case-by-case basis as well. All right, so the next step you'll want to make sure to do is review the application criteria. So this will vary based off of the individual program. And again, you're always going to want to make sure you refer to the website for the latest details. But generally speaking, the program materials stay pretty consistent for the most part, but always make sure that you refer to the specific program pages for the specific details on that. So to get started, you will, for those of you that are interested in pursuing the program as an on-campus student, we encourage you to visit campus. There's a number of different events that we host throughout the year for prospective students as well as newly admitted students. But if you can't get to campus, whether you're planning to pursue your program online or on campus, we do encourage you to do one of our virtual tours of the campus, which is pretty cool and high tech there. And then you can start your application for formal admission. The steps to how to apply are pretty similar for both our on-campus and online students. They're essentially the same application. So really the only difference is, again, indicating whether or not you're planning to pursue your program online or on campus. And then for Dan Viterbi students, if you are also interested in starting as a limited status student as early as summer 2023, again, you can visit our website and complete the Dan Viterbi profile to determine whether or not you're approved as early as possible. Okay, so now you all have the opportunity to ask any questions that you have for either David or me. So don't be shy. Go ahead and add those questions to the Q&A panel, and we will get to those. But I do have some questions that we also get, quite often. So just one of the questions we get, David, is, can I pursue or is a master's degree required? Sorry, not master's degree, master's thesis required for any of our master's degree programs?
No, absolutely not. It's an option, and I can tell you specifically in our program right now we have one student doing thesis, and that's out of 870 students. So definitely not required, but an option.
Gotcha. And I mean, if somebody were to really want to do a master's thesis, how would that work?
So if students would want to pursue master's thesis, there are two usually semesters that usually in their last year of the program that they would have to take the thesis. They would have to find a committee, usually consisting of 3 faculty members. One of those faculty members would be the lead faculty member that you would meet with. Again, certainly your option, but I think most students opt for directed research, which is another option that, again, I think is the more popular option. I think students that want to pursue thesis typically have the inkling to pursue a PhD. And I don't want students to think that that is just the path to go through. If I go through a PhD, you can also take directed research as well, which again is the more popular path.
Great. Yeah, that's really insightful. And I mean, that's another leads to me to my other question too that we get a lot is, how, like if somebody wants to do directed research, like how does that process work?
Yeah, so directed research is essentially an autonomous process whereby students have to seek out faculty. I think most students look on our homepage, they look at the faculty's research, they say, hey, that's an area of interest for me. They schedule an appointment with the faculty and they just ask, hey, would you mind me being part of your research group? And so students can take it, research is actually a variable amount of units in all of our programs. And so students can take 1, 2, 3, 4 units of research any particular term. Obviously, the more units, the more work that is required of you. And so, yeah, so basically you kind of have an agreement with the instructor, and these are the guidelines, which may be like biweekly submissions of this is what we did in the lab today. But it's actually graded on a credit, no credit basis at the graduate level, whereas undergraduate level at USC, it's actually a letter grade. So that's another difference. But again, directed research is a great way to connect with faculty, and maybe another way of networking as well.
Great. That's really helpful. And I think another question that we tend to get is, you know, if somebody has graduate credit from another institution, you know, how does that transfer process work?
Yeah, so there is a potential for you to transfer in graduate credit from an institution. I will say the rules, there are a lot of them.
Okay.
So please try to follow. So the university standard, they accept up to 25% of graduate transfer of the program requirement units. I can tell you, Viterbi is a little stingy in that department, and especially our department, we allow up to 4 units. So it's definitely less than, you know, what the university standard is. And I don't know what the reason is behind that, but again, we allow up to 4 units. And so the additional rules that come with that is that graduate credit that you took at another institution, first off, it has to be deemed applicable to one of our programs. And then 2, you could not have used that for, let's say, your undergraduate degree or another program. So it basically has to be in a course that you took, essentially knowing that you could potentially transfer it into a graduate program. And so, again, it's kind of a very antiquated process. And if we ever get there, I'm more than happy to walk you through it because there are a number of steps along the way. But again, just know that you can get up to 4 units.
Great. Well, that's really helpful. Okay, so I don't think we have any questions from this group, a little bit more of a shy group, but that's okay. If you have any questions after this session, oh, we got one here. Let's see. Perfect. So it says, thank you for providing an overview of our MS online programs. Has USC considered offering an MS program in systems safety engineering or safety engineering with a virtual option? If not, how can that be advocated for? Interesting. Would you be able to touch upon that, David, at all?
So Segas, that is a great question, and that is way above my pay grade. That is at the faculty level. So unfortunately, again, we're on the staff end, and I think your question is more directed toward the faculty. And so when it comes to creating programs, whether it's online or on campus, that is definitely at the faculty level. And there's a number of approvals that have to happen along the way. So I don't know if that's in the works.
Yeah, I mean, I think like in terms of how they considering offering that too. I mean, I think that I've heard, you know, interest in system safety for like courses, so that I could see that maybe being possible in the future. But yeah, I mean, but you know, as a student, I think if somebody wanted to advocate, you know, I think that's, you know, we love to hear kind of what students want too. So, you know, as a student, you know, if there's certain courses or areas of interest that interest you, you know, there's no problem with, you know, speaking up about that, whether you're an online student or on campus student, just because, you know, that's also insightful and helpful. And we really appreciate, you know, any feedback that we get from students in terms of what areas of interest as well. So great question though. Thank you for that. All right. Well, if there's no other questions, as I was starting to say earlier, you are more than welcome to reach out to us after the session. So for those of you that are planning to pursue your program on campus, we have both an on-campus and Denim Viterbi team that are here to support you through the application process. So if you have any questions about the application, the programs, the general areas of the program, we are able to help you out. So you can email us for on campus, viterbi.grad.admission@usc.edu, and then denviterbi.usc.edu for those planning to pursue or kind of unsure about pursuing an online a program online. Again, that goes to me as well as my colleague Marilyn Lau. We always make sure to answer within 24-hour period a normal business days. You could also give us a call at that number and just you can ask for me, Erin Tanaka, or my colleague Marilyn Lau. You could also ask for somebody from the on-campus team who works with prospective students if you're interested in that as well. But it looks like we have one more question here. How accommodating are the online classes for employee-sponsored students? What has been those students' experiences? So I guess I don't know if you have any insight on that, David. I can touch maybe a little bit on it too as well.
Yeah, I mean, I could just say, having been in Viterbi and then coming back to Viterbi before, I know our distance education network is typically one of the highly ranked online, I don't know, vessels across the nation. So as far as accommodating students, I think we're more than accommodating, but yeah, I'll have Erin talk a little
Yeah, I
more
can touch on
about
it
that.
too. Perfect. Yeah, I mean, in terms of, how we, work with those that have, employee sponsored students, we work very closely with our Dana Viterbi, again, online support team to make sure that, our students are, one, the faculty members are well aware that you are working professionals. Of course, it depends on the individual faculty member with regard to like flexibility on deadlines, which I'm assuming you're kind of thinking or wondering about. The deadlines in terms of assignments and exams are supposed to be the same, right? Same dates there. So you do need to keep up to speed with your homework and exams out of fairness. But that being said, faculty members depends on the individual faculty. Maybe may take into consideration if some flexibility is needed if but all it really takes is asking, right? Asking and letting them know. But I have heard from online students that faculty members have been really understanding oftentimes and accommodating, knowing that work life balance can be hard sometimes. So I think it's a case by case basis thing. It's not necessarily across the board, but I do encourage you to always build relationships with your faculty members. Do they have online office hours oftentimes, especially during the pandemic, everyone had to go online, right? So even though a faculty member may have set hours of that they say that they're on campus, you might also, of course, you can reach out to them and make appointments with them directly, whether online, over the phone, via Zoom, whatever modality works best for both parties. You definitely, our faculty members are very accommodating in that sense. And I've honestly never heard, a student complain about a faculty member not, being willing to meet with them virtually. And then in terms of the student experience, while I can't speak to the Den Viterbi's experience myself, because I'm not a Den student, we do have actually 100 and over 160 Den Viterbi ambassadors. These are current students and alumni who are happy to, talk about their student experience with you. We have what's called a Den Viterbi Unibuddy platform. Essentially, it's a way to chat with current students and alumni about their experience, whether it's, hey, how did you deal with like work-life balance? Were the faculty members accommodating? Were they understanding? They're really your best resource, right? They're going to give you the answers and their experiences. Of course, every student has different experiences, But I think that's honestly one of the best ways to get an inside student perspective. And so I'm happy to share that link with you. And if you ever, want to have a, specific, profile of somebody that is a current student or alumni that that you'd like to chat with or connect with beyond even the Unibuddy platform, I'm happy to reach or connect with one of with you with one of our Den ambassadors. So all you have to do is just email me. You can email me or my colleague Marilyn Lau at jenaviterbi.usc.edu, and we're happy to connect with you with current students or alumni. And yes, so I think that hopefully covers your question. Thanks so much for your question. That's a great one. Perfect. Well, I think that is it for this session. Thank you so much, David, for your time amongst your busy schedule. That was very insightful. And thank you all that have attended during this live session. Appreciate you staying on, and we hope you found this session informative. But take care. We hope to hear from you soon. And as we say at USC, fight on, everyone. Fight on.